Okay, nothing drives people into insanity than high gas prices and at the pump. Wall Street, though, saying oil will not break $100 a barrel this year as oil is sticking at 4-year highs. Here's why. And we know that the Iran sanctions are looming, could remove anywhere from 250,000 to 500,000 barrels a day off the market. But oil prices say that oil pros, experts say as prices go up, drillers do get incentivized to drill more. Even more oil supply is out there to be brought into the market as they drill. Mideast tensions are rising. Israel did bomb Iranian military assets in Syria. This as Democrat Maxine Waters ripping into the president's decision to leave the Iran deal, tweeting out, quote, Trump further isolating the U.S., thinks he knows better than our negotiators and all of our global allies who agreed to the Iran deal. How long do we have to suffer his gigantic ego and narcissistic behavior? Impeachment is the only answer. But for weeks now, watch this. Democrats like Harry Reid, Nancy Pelosi, and Rahm Emanuel saying Maxine Waters and Democrats, stop it. Do not run for office on impeaching Trump. Let's take it up with Wall Street Journal editorial page deputy editor Dan Henninger. Dan, you said running on impeachment is a really bad move, that it did not work for the Democrats back in the Republicans back in 1998. The Democrats picked up 5 seats in the House when they said impeach Bill Clinton. Yeah, and it looks like people like Harry Reid or Rahm Emanuel are beginning to realize that there could be a problem here. But the Democrats, on the other hand, Maxine Waters, God love her, we just hope she keeps going out there. I mean, the idea of Maxine Waters accusing somebody of having a gigantic ego is really precious because Ms. Waters has one of the largest out there. How do voters react to the idea of impeaching Trump? Voters are beginning to react against it. I mean, some of the recent polls are showing that, for instance, the generic vote, this like, do you want a Democrat or Republican, used to be 16 points for the Democrats, then it was 6. In the past week, in 2 different polls, Reuters, Ipsos, and the CNN poll, it's between 1 and 3 points. That means the Democrats are doing something wrong. Yeah, and what Maxine Waters is saying is one of those wrong things. President Trump slamming Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer for flip-flopping on the Iran deal, tweeting out, quote, Senator crying Chuck Schumer fought hard against the bad Iran deal, even going at it with President Obama, but then he voted against it. Now he says I should not have terminated that deal. But he doesn't really believe that. Same with James Comey, though Comey was terrible until I fired him. Flip-flopping Chuck Schumer, I mean, you wrote today one has to be pretty obtuse to ignore the flaws in the Iran nuclear deal, right? Yeah, but they are. And, it sort of extends the point we were just discussing here, Liz. The Democrats, since day one of the Trump presidency, have decided they have one policy, one word, resistance. Resist everything. Resist his foreign policy, resist the tax cuts, resist his nominees. And now we get to the point where the presidency is succeeding and they can't get off that treadmill. But here's the thing with Chuck Schumer. Remember when Chuck Schumer said this back in 2015?
We should not go forward with this agreement. This evil regime has stayed in power without even a slight threat to their being overthrown. The odds to me are too high that they will stay that way. And if they do stay that way, I believe that this agreement is too flawed and too dangerous for us. You see this, Dan. I mean, Schumer just back in 2015, he called it evil. He called Iran evil. He said, don't do the Iran deal. I mean, isn't it striking that Democrats are not pointing out that Iran is executing gay people. They're executing children over there, the oppression of its own people. You pointed out that, the public protests across the country against the mullahs are being ignored by the Democrats. Yeah, because the Iranian economy is not delivering the benefits they were supposed to get from this deal, the nuclear deal. But the Democrats are in a tough spot. The Iranian nuclear deal was, as we are told many times, the signature achievement of Barack Obama's foreign policy legacy. He and John Kerry passed it. The Democrats have now got to figure out a way to criticize the deal without repudiating a president from their party who was running the foreign policy for 8 years. And obviously they have not been able to do that. I mean, you've got at least the Europeans. They want the agreement kept in place, but they
they at least are criticizing the deficiency in the deal, the fact that it doesn't control Iran's missiles, that Iran is destabilizing the Middle East, and there is no sunset provision.
And no inspections of military sites.
And the Democrats won't even go that far.
Interesting. All right. White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders calling out the New York Times for an article that criticized Secretary of State Mike Pompeo for being thousands of miles away when the Iran deal broke. He was, meaning when the President Trump removed the Iran deal. Pompeo was working on North Korea.
I got the same number of questions today about Michael Cohen that I got about North Korea. I think that is sad and another reminder that shows us just how out of touch the media is with the rest of America. His top diplomat was thousands of miles away, but what they forgot to include was that he was thousands of miles away negotiating the details of the meeting between the president and Kim Jong-un, as well as bringing 3 brave Americans back home to the United States. To me, that seems like exactly what his job is supposed to do. And you know what? The president was doing his job back here. This is an administration that likes to get more than one thing done a day.
Your reaction?
Well, the New York Times, I guess you'd have to say, is part of the resistance. And this is a pretty embarrassing moment for them. They jumped the gun. Sarah Sanders said he was over there getting these people back to the United States and setting up this extraordinary meeting with Kim Jong-un in Singapore. But they also wrote that there was nobody around to try to brief them on what the implications were of the president's announcement. In fact, National Security Advisor John Bolton gave a 30-minute briefing in great detail, asking reporters questions for as long as they had them. Maybe the Times was,
right?
And answering them.
Yeah.
And perhaps the Times wasn't able to make that briefing.
Dan Henninger, we love having you on. Come back soon.